Welcome to this guide on how to set up a Modbus TCP IP server and Modbus TCP IP client on two simulated Siemens ET200SPs in Siemens TIA portal. This guide will go through each step and send data back and forth using standard PLCSim. Here we see one PLC. I copied this PLC that I already have set up, and then I basically just renamed each PLC so I can easier find a way around for Modbus server and Modbus client. After I've done this, I will connect the new PLC to the Ethernet network. And it's very important that we go into this PLC and set up the security settings. Here we can also go in and then we check what the IP is. In this case, it will be 62 in the end. I'll just show you the tags. All the tags I already have set up. They are already here. There's the system tags and some input output for this setup. I'll add a new block. In this block settings, I basically will make a standard programmable block, and I'll bring in one of the communication blocks we find in the bottom down here. There's other ways to do it, and I will show that later on the others. You will find Modbus TCP and will drag in a client, a server here. Give it a name for the service settings, and then we can begin to set it up. I'll add in a new block. Here I will be using a global database, giving name for the server for this PLC. It cannot be called MB server because that's a block, so I'm calling it parameters and data. Here I will then make it float so I can see what the original block function block is in the PLC, and I'll give it all the names of all the pins we're looking at. We have disconnect and all of the other ones. When all of them are done, I will go through them and change the status for the data type. The status is an int, we'll get a value, and then connect. It's very important that it's a TCON IPv4. This is a user-defined data type, and we can go in and set the different units. First of all, local port will be 502 for Modbus. I'm giving it 0, 0, 0, and 0 as the four settings for IP. Basically, because that will give it just go back to the standard value. I'm giving it the values for here for 11, the IP, and the interface ID. I will go up and find the system constants for the Ethernet interface, the Profinet interface, and that will be 64. Down here in the bottom, I will make an array of words. And this array of words, I can make it as long as I will. Officially, I cannot, but I will make it from 0 to 10. So I basically will have 11 words in my data storage for this server. Then I'll basically just give it a name. I normally take the first part, copy paste it, goes quicker. I will not miss write. Giving all of the points. The data will not be the array, but just the general access to the data. Connection. Different status bits, and now we basically are done on this side. Compiling, there are some errors. That's basically because I forgot to compile the whole system. I just compiled the block. So I'll go to the top PLC, compile all hardware, all software. It will compile, no errors, no warnings. That's wonderful. I could now connect to a real PLC, but in this setting, I will open PLCSim. I'm using the standard PLCSim setting on PLC soft connection, setting the X1 connection. Here we have the IP for it. And then I will just connect everything, wait a second, and 2 and 3 while it compiles. It has set up the right IP for my system, and I will continue. Load everything over to the PLC. And wait. This may take some time. Sorry about that. The server in Siemens will by default give you access to the holding register. That means that you by default will, this data I just allocated will start from 40,001 in the address space for Modbus. Now it's over. I can start the module. Stop right now, as you can see. I'll just move it a little around. Start to finish it. You'll be waiting while the simulator is speeding up. I don't have the fastest VM running for this system, but it will be working. Now we should be able to access it. I have placed my Modbus server parameters and data here so we later on in the client can use it again. Now I'll go online on the PLC, simulated PLC. It's the one with the 6062, and we will use that in the client in a moment. Everything is green, everything is wonderful. We can access dies, we can see the values I've set. Now we go to the next PLC, the number 60 in the IP. That's not that important, but it has all the same IP tags defined, all the system tags. I'll start on making a global database. As you can see here, I'm calling it Modbus client. And I'm giving it 0. Then I go up and yet again, I'm making a programs cycle, calling it Modbus client in this case. In this part, I will be making a little more system. First of all, I'm doing the whole thing in another way. Up here, you can see that I'm making a little setting with a coil and a contactor. I'm going down to the database so I access and can see everything. I'm just fitting it in a little, but it sits very nicely next to the server so we easily can see everything. And in a moment, you will see that I just took a standard function file. I'm giving it a name this time, just calling it directly, and then I can set it in. And so it gets the system database, giving it all the standard name. This time it's a little different with some of the settings, but you will see how in a moment. In the mode, I'm giving it a read and a write in the end of the name. That's because if you're sending a specific bit, it will either read or write from the database. Send it the address, and how much data will send is data length. Connection is yet again another data type. We'll come back to that when I call all of it. There's a lot of data, as you can see here, and I'm making 2 arrays. Let's start with the data type. I'm beginning to set up all of the different ones here. We have 0 and 1 for the 2 bits. I cannot give it 40,001 on an int because that's too big, so I'm making a double integer. Same with the length. Officially, I can send back and forth 120 words per request in these data blocks on the holding register. And then the array. As you can see, connection is again a TCON IPv4 user-defined data type, and we are yet again using arrays of words, this time from 0 to 4. The interface is the same again, setting. It's very important to set activation true here. In this case, it's not the local port, but the remote port. And now we need to give it the IP of where we want to collect data. In this case, 62. I'm setting some default values in the sending data and also in the writing and reading of data. We need to request data when we're using this client because we will block the communication path. Therefore, I'm using a system bit for 1 Hz and sending that to the Modbus request. You can see that here. And now I'm beginning to set up some of the values. I'm not setting up all of them because some of them I can also just write. Specifically, the addresses can help depending on your application. Connection is, as you can see, from the database, and basically just setting everything up so we have all the data in one place instead of looking at the ladder programming. I find it easier to set with compared to blocks where I have all the data live in my from my databases. As you can see, I'm setting the first address to 40,001 here, and then I'm setting the data, and I'm asking for 5 bits. That basically means that with a read setting in modes, which is 0, I will go to 40,001, the first 5 data words on the server, and request them. They will return on the request if there's time enough for this data. I'm setting the whole thing up close 5 later. That will basically be 40,006, also 5, that I can write to from the client. And here the mode is 1, because that will give us write possibilities. Then we basically just compile the whole thing, hope for no errors and warnings. There is 0. That's wonderful. And then we'll again simulate, activate a new instance in our simulator, connect to it. Normally X1 works. I don't know what it's doing here, but X1 works. So perfect. Node. We connect to it because it's the first time, blah, blah, blah. Wait for everything to clear up. And now we basically has the possibility to read from our client the first 5 words on the server and write to the next 5. It also means that data 10 in the server will not be used in this setting. We are waiting for the whole thing. It may take some time. We can jump over to the simulator and take a look what is going on over there. All is good. We are starting it up. And now it basically should be able, if everything is green and good. It looks like so. It is coming. We're going online on the simulator. And now we can basically see the data. All of them is in hex, so you can easily see that some of the data have been sent over. And down here, you can now write some data. It will come over to the server, some different values. You can do this by pressing Ctrl-Shift-2 or just double click on them. And the data will come live over. We can also write some data in the server and it will come over to the client. So now we basically have tested our Modbus. Thank you.